welcome to Fantasy Basketball Analyzer. I am Dave, DC Hewitt, and I'm here to help you get ready for Week 10 of the NBA season. We're going to break down the schedule, try and find you that edge or some extra games to help you win your head-to-head matchups. First, I wanted to say I had to wear my Raptors shirt today in loving memory of Yuta, who was murdered on live TV last night by Anthony Edwards, because that dunk was amazing. I mean, the Raptors still won, which is good for them. But the Anthony Edwards dunk was incredible. And if I get excited about the Ja Morant, like near miss dunks jumping over 6'11" guys, then I can get excited about a dunk in a loss. Also, I don't actually own any Timberwolves stuff, so I couldn't wear that. But I should also give credit. Cody Sherritt gets the photo credit for taking this. He tweeted out with, "Some nights you just happen to be in the right spot." I assume that's a comment about him being there to take that photo and not Yuta trying to defend that dunk that did not work out for him. All right, let's get into Week 10 of the NBA schedule. Before breaking down this week, as always, let's take a quick look at offensive pace and defensive efficiency. My offensive pace is the PER from ESPN, and defensive efficiency is from Cleaning the Glass. I want to give credit where it's due, and someone asked about it last week, so there you go. No real changes here, right? Teams at the top, teams at the bottom, they shuffled a little in order, but no one really moved. Brooklyn dropped out of our top 5 targets, but they're still above 108, which is generally where the top 5 are. There's just some real top of this sheet, bottom of the league, Washington, Sacramento teams that just happens to mean that anyone in the 108s aren't in the top 5 this week. Down at the bottom, who we expect, New York, Lakers, Phoenix, Utah's been all there. Clippers edge down, and they're helped by a slower pace, which is going to have maybe a little impact on Memphis this week because they play them twice. And with that, let's actually take it and transfer it over to the schedule. I cannot bury the lead here. Right down at the bottom of the sheet, the big news this week is Washington with a 5-game week. Means even if Westbrook's going to sit, you're probably getting 4 games out of him. So if you're looking for streamers and everything, Washington's the alpha and the omega that we're looking at this week to get an advantage on the extra game played. On the downside, San Antonio is listed as 2 games for now. The last week was all canceled because of the postponements. We assume they'll be back after that, but we don't actually know. With 2 games, San Antonio's a stay away. Jakob Poeltl, you can't trust them. We're talking strictly weekly lock leagues. If it turns out they're back and you can play Poeltl, great. But overall, you're going to have to stay away from White and everything with only 2 games. Especially because if we look overall for the schedule, 20 of the teams play 4 or more games. So that's 2/3 of the league. We've got 9 teams playing 3 and then Spurs playing 2 as far as we know. So you're going to have to be aware of that. You really want to err on the side of 4 games, which you always want to err on the side of a 4-game week, but especially when it's like this far. If you're playing a lot of 3-game weeks, then you're going to have a bad time. I had to play Luka in a league this week with only the 2 games and just a couple 3 games with there, and I'm severely outmatched. And unfortunately, it's against my brother in a league, so that hurts a little extra. He's beating me. Shout out, Tim. Switching the grid over to back-to-backs. Once again, starting at the bottom, I already mentioned it. Washington has a back-to-back. If we're looking at some of our other normal teams that we worry about guys resting, Boston starts the week off with a back-to-back, so Kemba's probably sitting there. And the Clippers have a back-to-back. Like I mentioned, they play Memphis twice in the middle of the week at Memphis. It's great that we saw Paul George back. Happy to see him on the court from rehabbing his foot with the foot edema. But he's probably going to rest there, so just know he's going to have a 3-game. We don't know Kawhi's going to play there. Just be aware. Overall, they still got a 4-game week. They're still usable. The other teams we usually worry about, Brooklyn, they don't have a back-to-back. The Lakers don't have a back-to-back. And Houston's tempting for me to say they don't have a back-to-back, but technically, if you look at the end there, Memphis on Sunday is the first part of a back-to-back. So if they're not resting their guys now, they might be resting their guys next week. Next week's an interesting week. It's shortened because it's the All-Star break. And so as we switch over to the next schedule grid to look at some streamers, I also included a little preview for next week's overall games. I included this section here at the end if you see it for next week. Because of the shortened week, there are some wild swings. The difference between having a Denver player with 3 games and Detroit with 1 game can really impact your week there. Depending on your league settings, maybe these 2 weeks are combined, but either way, having extra games never hurts you. I guess unless your guy shoots 0 for 14, but you'd rather still have the input of the extra game and the chance to rack up some stats. So I wanted to include that because if you're in a weekly lock league, some of the moves you make here to get ahead could really set you up for next week, and then you don't have to think about it, especially on the short week. It makes a big impact. If you're in the daily change league, you want to try and pair those things together so that you're not only looking at streaming for now, but also trying to say, a block ahead of the other people. Overall, though, the schedule's pretty well even, right? The games played 6-9-9, 6-9, 7-9. And that's me making an adjustment for the game postponement there. So if 8's the cutoff that I usually say for streaming for Daily Change League, because that means half the league's playing, right? You got 16 teams playing. Maybe you can get a streamer in there. At 9, you still potentially could, so it's possible for all these weeks. But really, it's Monday, Thursday, Saturday are the times where you're really going to get to plug someone in there. So I went and marked teams that had like 2 of those days, especially Thursday, Saturday, in yellow, so you could take advantage. Washington's the best because they got 5 games. If you can pick up someone from Washington that's viable, that's where you want to go because you plug them in and get a lot of use. Dallas is probably the next best. They get to play on all 3 of those days, and they still have 2 games next week, which makes them pretty usable. So I'd give them a look there. This isn't the waiver wire show, but if you're trying to get a jump on someone, looking at Dallas, Josh Richardson's down to 44% rostered. You pick him up and get to play him in these extra games in your Daily Change League and get an advantage. His last game wasn't great. 6 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. I'm not saying pick him up. He's going to get 30 for you. But, if you can get 10 points a game, 5 assists, a couple threes, and specifically play them in empty slots in your Daily Change League, that's just free money. So give him a look. He's available in 60% of leagues. Beyond that, for streamers, no one's really jumping off the page at me. It's really going to be about what's out on your free agent wire if you're trying to work this. So I marked the teams in yellows. I'll give you the link down below for the spreadsheet. You can come check them out. Try and work it out. I can't say Davis Bertans, pick him up. He's got 5 games. Sure, that's great. But he's only available in 34% of leagues. Now, if you're in one of those leagues where he's in 34%, go pick him up. He's going to play 5 games. Do it right now. Because if you can get 20 points a game for 5 games, get an extra 100 points off your waiver wire, that's going to be great. But he's not at that 50% where I can talk to everyone. I'm like, rush out and do it. So you're going to want to take a look. Otherwise, you're going to have to try and be a little clever here, I think, to help you out for this week and next week. If you're trying to flip a coin of who do I pick up, what am I going for? Take a look at Denver. They get Washington and Oklahoma City. Overall, actually, for their 3-game week. Portland, Washington, OKC. That's a pretty good week. It's only 3 games, but it's good matchups. But if you get them at the end of the week on those streaming days, Washington and OKC, where they're playing Thursday, Saturday, you're probably going to get them in, and they have a 3-game week next week. So you're trying to make a roster move here that'll help you carry through into next week without having to screw around futz at the edges. You can set that up. Likewise, New Orleans, they play the Bucks and the Spurs, assuming the Spurs are playing on those streaming days, and then they get 3 games as well next week. Anyone else you want to give a look, go for it. Portland's got 3 games for next week. The Spurs, we think, has 3 games. I also think there might be a little tinkering here with the game delay. I wouldn't be shocked if, after I put this video out, there's some adjustments for it. Maybe the NBA tries to sneak a game in there. Detroit, Golden State only with 1 game. If there's some games to make up, I wouldn't be shocked if the league makes a change there. And if they do, I'll update it on the spreadsheet. I'll be back tomorrow to keep you updated, and we'll talk about some waiver wires. If you liked the video and made it this far, please please subscribe. If you're on Reddit and stuff like that, please share it. I know a lot of people are like, hey, I love the channel. Too bad I don't want people in my league to know about it. That's fine. But if you can share it on social media, not Facebook, you don't want to give away the secret. I get it. But Twitter, Reddit, stuff like that, help me grow the channel. I'm trying to creep my way up to 1,000 subscribers, and that'd be great. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Take this info, go out, and win your week. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, please hit the like button and leave a comment down below. It helps me grow the channel. If you want more videos like this, hit subscribe or even the little bell will give you alerts. And I'll be back soon with another video for you.